Welcome back to Give Me Five, the 5 Minutes with Jesus Everyday Bible Study Challenge. Basically, I have the ingredients here, all the parts to make a cake, right? I got the cake mix and the eggs, and you have to make a cake in the correct order, right? You wouldn't just eat the powder of the cake mix raw, dry powder. You wouldn't eat a raw egg unless you're Rocky Balboa. You're gonna want to get those ingredients, mix them together, bake it. Then you have the end product that you're looking for. You don't do them out of order. You have to go through the correct order if you want a good cake. Same thing with a good Bible study. You have to do them in the correct order. First, you get the ingredients and you look at the ingredients. That's the observation stage. Then you mix them together, find out what they mean. Then you eat it and you digest it and you do something with it. There are 3 steps to a good Bible study. Observation, interpretation, application. They got to go in the correct order, and that's what we're talking about today. Very important for us to do these 3 steps of Bible study in the correct order. Okay, there are 3 steps to Bible study. You'll hear me say this over and over again. First is to make observations, then interpretations, and then applications, right? And it's important that these happen in the correct order. Sometimes what people are tempted to do is to jump past the first observation stage. They think, I already know this verse, I already know this story. I'm just going to kind of skim it, and then I'm going to go straight into what I think it means. That's a very dangerous thing to do. We want God's Word to speak to us. We want God to inform the way we think, behave, and believe, right? Not the other way around. And so what happens if we want to skip this stage, if we don't spend some time in the observation stage, what happens sometimes is we go into reading God's Word with a kind of our own preconceived ideas for how it's supposed to work. We go into it with kind of what we think is true. And then we read everything through that lens, and we kind of end up forcing God's Word to agree with our viewpoint and perspective. We force God's Word to say what we want it to say. And that's always a dangerous thing to do. There's 2 different theological things happening here. One is called exegesis. One is called eisegesis. Let me explain what those are. And neither one of them has anything to do with extra Jesuses or I'm a Jesus. Okay? There's nothing to do with that. Exegesis, what that means is when we take God's Word and we let it speak to us, right? God's Word is the truth. We let it speak to us and inform us and the way we think, believe, and behave. Eisegesis is the exact opposite. It's where you say, I already believe this, and I'm going to force God's Word, I'm going to force the Bible to agree with me. And I'm going to interpret everything to make my viewpoint valid. Now the problem with those 2 viewpoints, the second viewpoint, is that it makes you out to be the authority, right? It makes you out to be like God, that I know it's true and I'm going to force the Bible to agree with me. That's a very, very dangerous thing to do. When we approach God's Word, we want Him to speak to us. So that's why I say these 3 steps have to happen in the correct order. First, we make those observations. Then we interpret what they mean, right? We got to spend some time letting God just speak to us through His Word. We got to listen to what He has to say. We got to slow down and just let Him inform the way we believe, behave, and think, okay? So, start with this first step. Spend some time just observing God's Word. We don't approach it with our forcing proof texts that back up what we believe. We want God to change what we believe to fit the truth, because we are broken, messed up people. I know I'm a messed up, fallen person, and if I go off with what I think and believe, that's going to be never a good outcome. It's much better for me just to approach God's Word and say, God, show me something today about who you are. Speak to me today, and let Him shape the way we do things. So we got to do these in the correct order. Tomorrow we're going to go into some detail of how to really observe God's Word, how to be like a spiritual detective and find all of those clues that are right there in God's Word. So we'll see you tomorrow as we look at that.